Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 696 of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's show, we'll be speaking with Michele, who's had diabetes for well over 40 years, but most recently has had a kidney and pancreas transplant. She's here today to tell us all about it. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. If you're looking for the Diabetes Pro Tip series, it begins at episode 210 in your podcast app. You can also find it at juiceboxpodcast.com, diabetesprotip.com, or a complete list of the Pro Tip series and other series on the private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast Type 1 Diabetes, up at the top in the featured section. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe in a podcast app and tell a friend. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by InPen from Medtronic Diabetes. The InPen is a reusable smart insulin pen that uses Bluetooth technology to send dose information to a mobile app, and I'll be telling you more about it later in the program. You can also go to inpentoday.com to find out more. If you have type 1 diabetes and are a U.S. resident or are the caregiver of someone with type 1, please go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Join the registry, complete the survey, and just like that, you've helped people with type 1 diabetes and supported the Juicebox Podcast. They're going to ask you incredibly simple questions about type 1. You'll know the answers. They're not going to be difficult. The entire thing will take less than 10 minutes. It is completely HIPAA compliant and absolutely anonymous. t1dexchange.org/juicebox.
I am Michele. I have been a type 1 diabetic for 45 years. And in May of this year, I had a kidney pancreas transplant. So that's why I'm on to talk.
Hi, Michele. 45 years. All right. This is oddly going to be easy because it's 2021. So I just take 20 away, right? And now I'm down to 25 years. Then I take the one away. I'm down to, Then I'll take 20 more away. I get down to 1980. And what am I left with? 5? Were you diagnosed in 1975?
76.
Damn, look how close I was.
You were close.
Feeling pretty good about that. All right. I was born in 1971.
Wow.
How old are you?
I am 59 years old.
Wow. Well, you weren't born that much before me.
1962.
I was going to say that.
A little bit.
Yeah, it would have ruined the
I'm
illusion.
proud to be this old. I'm lucky to have lived as long as I have.
I'll tell you right now that I know you're saying that because you have diabetes, right?
Right.
And
exactly.
when you were diagnosed, I don't have diabetes. And I feel the exact same way. I got up this morning and I was like, I had my pants, right? And my back is stiff as it always is. And I think to myself, do I go for it and just pick my leg up like a person and stick them through? Or do I just lean on something just to make sure I don't stumble?
That's pretty sad, but understandable.
People won't understand till they get older, right, Michele?
Exactly.
Okay, gives them something to look forward to. I look forward to having to consider putting your pants on.
It's a struggle some days.
Yeah, I am determined to fix this somehow. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about different exercises to strengthen. I'm trying different stretches, but my back has hurt since I was 20 years old. So I would like that to stop one day. I would just like to get up one day and not think about that. But I'm complaining to a person who had a couple of their organs pulled out and replaced with other organs. So why don't I stop that and ask you a little bit about what it was like to have diabetes for 45 years?
Well, I was diagnosed at 14. So that was interesting because you're, getting right into those teenage years. And now something's wrong with me, which was very shocking because I had been healthy, pretty healthy up to that point. So, I diagnosed, spent a week in the hospital, went home. I only saw a primary care physician, and I would see him once a year. So he would do a fasting blood sugar and send me on my way with my 1 shot a day of beef pork insulin. So it went on like that, for probably 10 years or so. A friend of mine was diagnosed a couple years later. She was a semi-close friend, but not real close. And she came back from being diagnosed and was like, you have a lot to do. And I'm like, not really. I take a shot a day. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to do. So I went on for many years, really kind of living a normal life with this 1 shot a day that I had to do.
Yeah. But what was testing like then? Like, how were you measuring success, or were you not?
I basically was not. So they showed us how to do the urine test, but to me, it made no sense at all to do that because I couldn't do anything about it. So if it came back high, what do I do? There was really nothing I could do. They didn't really talk about increasing insulin or decreasing insulin. They had me on the 1 shot a day. So it was very interesting.
So you take this injection, and then their advice was to do the urine test strip, but then no matter how the test came back, there was no next step.
Exactly. So I had to eat at certain times during the day because you'd have those peaks and valleys for the insulin. But I'm a pretty relaxed person, so I wasn't on a strict schedule. It was more if I felt like I needed to eat something, I would eat something. My mother would make me breakfast every morning, so I would have breakfast right away. But beyond that, I pretty much lived a normal life.
Okay. All right. And how long?
With high blood sugars, of course.
Yeah. And were those urine tests usually high?
When I did them, but I quit doing them pretty quickly after diagnosis.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really pay attention.
I hear you. So I get that. How many years do you think that you did that? Just did that shot and test? And did your doctor ever up your insulin, like based on like weight gain or age or anything?
I just saw him once a year, and I don't remember him adjusting it. It was always like, you're doing fine. Keep doing what you're doing. And like I said, he was a primary physician. I didn't even know about endocrinologists at the time. So he, diagnosed everything from diabetes to cancer to everything in between.
Okay, and hold on a second. Wait. Hold on. Say that again for me. You saw him
from 1976 to probably through college.
Okay.
So 81, 82.
So he's not an endocrinologist. He's just
No.
Okay. And
just a primary care
and
general practitioner.
What other issues did you have during that time?
Really none.
None. Okay. All right. So he just didn't do anything. You just kept injecting, staying high. So when did I'm guessing that the technology changed somewhere and you changed with it, or no?
I changed insulin. So I went to the synthetic insulin versus the beef pork when that was available. I saw my first endocrinologist in the 80s because I was going to grad school, and I lived with my brother and sister-in-law, and my sister-in-law was a nurse. So she recommended seeing an endocrinologist, which I went to. His reaction was pretty much, if you don't fix this, you're going to die.
Okay.
And because he had me start doing finger tests. So like at that point, the finger testing was available. So I would do it, and he had me doing it 3 times a day. And it was always in the 200s. Mm-hmm. But again, he didn't tell me what to do. It was a little bit longer till they had that sliding scale where if your sugar's this, take a shot. If it's this, take a shot. Yeah. So he didn't really give me a whole lot of information.
Go ahead. Do you remember having any feelings about the information that you had gotten prior from the other doctor at that moment? When it was kind of shocking. It was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something differently. I didn't know. I really didn't know. But I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I, do my shot a day and go on with life. Went all through college that way. Yeah. Did my shot a day. If I spent the night at my friend's house or something, I'd just go back in the morning and take my shot. So it was just kind of a, crazy time. Are you especially now with all the technology that's available and what you can see now? Were you in your mid-20s at that point when you switched the insulins?
I was mid-20s, and then shortly after that, I was diagnosed with retinopathy. Wow! So that really scared me.
Yeah. When you first get the "Hey, you're going to die if you don't do something" talk, do you even believe it?
I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. I've been living this way all this time. No one's ever told me anything differently, but I did what he told me to do. I'm a rule follower. So he told me to, do this testing. So I did. Mm-hmm. Change the insulin. I did. So that was my life. Oh, but, Jesus. Once the retinopathy came out, and I was dating somebody, and at that point, it was like, oh, I need to do something about this because I don't want to go blind. So, I had laser surgery in both eyes, and that was probably 87. But I haven't had any eye issues since. So they have been stable since then. I've got a lot of laser burns in the eyes, but the eyes have been very stable.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. So you're still doing it now. So now you're testing and you see your blood sugars higher, but it takes more time to even get to the point where doctors are talking about making adjustments once you see your blood sugar.
Right. They had the sliding scale. So then I would use that.
Okay.
At that point.
What point in your life do you think the sliding scale popped up?
That was probably 85, 86.
85, 86. Okay. That's okay. But it all makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking back to when my friend was diagnosed in 88, and I'm just putting the pieces together kind of backwards from what you're saying to this. Mm-hmm. So that all lines up for me really well. But so when the retinopathy, laser surgery in the 80s?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was a bright light flashing in your eyes. I probably had 3 times on my right eye, 2 times on my left eye. They would give a shot to numb the eye, kind of underneath, not in the eye. And you would see bright flashes of light. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to go blind. So, I kept going back for those.
Yeah. And that plus I'm imagining your control started getting better as well.
Right. Okay. Just because now I'm seeing an endocrinologist, I'm seeing a regular doctor. Then I met my husband in 87. We got married in 88. So he was there through the time frame of the laser surgery. And, shortly after that, I started talking about having a baby. Now my endocrinologist was like, I don't have time for you. So he ended up sending me, I'm in Cincinnati. He ended up sending me to University of Cincinnati Hospital that had a clinic for diabetics. And it was a study kind of measuring the effects of high blood sugar and low blood sugar on children that were born. So I entered that study, and the doctors there saw me quite often. even before I got pregnant, to get the blood sugars more in line. But they were probably, A1C was probably still in the 8s and 9s at that point.
I am fascinated that there was a time where you could say to a doctor, hey, I'm going to have a baby. And they're like, yeah, get out of here. I don't want to be involved in this. but also that he sent you to a study. Do you think he sent you to the study because they're like, well, this lady's going to provide good data if she gets pregnant? Or do you think the study was meant to help you?
I really think that I think he didn't have time to deal with me and my blood sugars. So he sent me to the study so they could deal with me instead.
Michele, are you telling me that standard care wasn't very adjusted and you were trying to figure out something greater?
I believe once I knew better, I believe I stayed on top of technology and things like that. When I was pregnant with my first son, the nurse there had started wearing an insulin pump. Mm-hmm. And she suggested I get on it, but at that point I didn't know how those worked. So I had my first child in 91. So I didn't know how the pumps worked, and my belly was so big. Like, how is that going to fit on my belly? Because it was Medtronic back then. So I didn't start that till probably 93, 94, maybe 95 on the Medtronic pump.
Okay. Wow. That's really a tale. And you're still just did you end up having a baby?
I had 2 sons. They were both healthy. Mm-hmm. They were big babies, but I was a big baby. So I'm sure part of it was the diabetes, but part of it was just having the genetics to have big babies. My first son was 10 pounds or 9 pounds, 6 ounces. And the second one was 10-13. But I was 11 and a half when I was born, and my mother was not diabetic.
Mm-hmm. Any other diabetes or endocrine issues in your family?
Yes. So my brother, I'm the youngest of 8. My brother, who is 8 years older than me, was diagnosed at 14 as well. But he kept it really private, and he saw the same doctor as I did. So he had to boil his insulin needles and, reuse the needle every day. So it wasn't a big shock when I was diagnosed. Mm-hmm. We were all tested when he was diagnosed, and none of us had it at that point. But I kind of had a feeling in the back of my mind that I was going to get it someday.
No kidding.
I don't know why, but so when it was diagnosed, I wasn't happy, but it wasn't a big shock. But again, I didn't see him living a very different lifestyle other than, taking his shot every morning.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of just masked ignorance, right, about what was going
exactly.
on. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we're a very smart family. We're not dumb. So it just, the information wasn't available. You didn't have Google. You didn't have, if your doctor wasn't telling you, you didn't know.
It just didn't exist. Yeah. You were doing the best that was available to you.
Exactly.
Yeah. How is his health generally?
His is not as good. He lost a leg. And he has trouble getting around now. He's still alive. So he's 8 years older than me, 67.
Yeah.
But not very healthy.
Okay. Did he ever make the switch like you did?
He finally, he got on an insulin pump. Gosh, I don't even know, 10, 15 years ago.
Wow.
But it was much later than I did. And then he stayed with Medtronic, and he did try their CGM, but really didn't use it very often. Mm-hmm. And I talked him into the Dexcom, and I'm not quite sure how often he uses it. He doesn't like to talk about his health.
Yeah.
So we don't spend too much time talking.
I understand. Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me, though. It's valuable information for the big picture.
So that's one. Pretty much everyone, all my siblings have thyroid problems one way or another, either low or high thyroid. I have a nephew with type 1 diabetes, and there's talk about an uncle that had diabetes, but it was never very clear about whether he was type 1, type 2, or how that was related.
Michele, what about genealogy? Where are your people from?
We are from Slovakia and Poland, half of each.
Interesting. Thank you.
My grandparents actually came from those countries.
My wife's grandmother, my wife's mother's mother, is Polish, and she had celiac. And they called it the sprue.
That's a new one.
I guess at some point it was referred to, let me check, celiac sprue. I think it's been kind of like rebranded as celiac disease. Yeah, but at some point it was called celiac sprue. That was kind of the general term for it. And my wife's grandmother, who was a generally unpleasant person, she'd be like, I have the sprue, I can't eat that, and it kind of went like that. So
that's great.
Yeah. It really hurt her at the end of her life because I think she finally gave over to the dieting, but way late, and it just then. She was so old that the dieting for celiac, I don't think she was doing it well. She just lost so much weight towards the end of her life.
Right.
But anyhow, okay. So that's a lot, but I understand. I appreciate you filling me all in on it. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Michele, when does shit really get upside down? Because I'm assuming it happened at some point if you ended up with a transplant, right? So here you are, a person who doesn't want an insulin pump, but would like more functionality than a regular old insulin pen offers. If this describes you, you are the exact right person to go to inpentoday.com/juicebox and check out today's sponsor, InPen, from Medtronic Diabetes. Here's what you get when you buy the InPen. First of all, it's incredibly affordable, and that's important. Secondly, you're getting a well-built insulin pen, and that too is important. But here's where InPen separates themselves from other pens. The InPen has an app, and it speaks to the app with Bluetooth and keeps track of things like your current glucose, your dose calculator, active insulin remaining, meal history, dose history, glucose history, activity log, and reports. That's right, my friend. The InPen gives you some of the functionality that people get with an insulin pump. Active insulin remaining, that's insulin on board. There's a thing you thought you could only get with an insulin pump, but it turns out it's also available with InPen from Medtronic Diabetes. Head over now to inpentoday.com to find out more. Do a little scrolling, and you'll get to the part of the webpage that says, pay as little as $35 for the InPen. This is an offer available to people with commercial insurance, and terms and conditions apply, of course. But this could be you, a $35 insulin pen that has a companion app that keeps track of things that you want to know about. Do you know the InPen app even allows you to manually log your long-acting insulin doses and set up dose reminders for your long-acting insulin? It actually does that. Isn't that crazy? Oh, InPen, what have you not thought of? Here's a couple other little things the InPen does. Are you wondering if the InPen allows integration with the Guardian Connect system? Well, yes, it does. The integration is compatible with both iOS and Android devices. However, you should check your compatibility for both the Guardian Connect system and the InPen app prior to ordering. So go get yourself the InPen from Medtronic Diabetes and have an app that shows your active insulin on the home screen and allows you to pair as many InPens to the app as you want. This enables the flexibility for you to have one InPen at home and another at work or school. Are you kidding me? InPentoday.com. Links in the show notes of your podcast player and links at juiceboxpodcast.com. But I think you can remember it. InPentoday.com. That's my link. You go to that, find out everything you need to know, get started with the InPen. InPen requires a prescription and settings from your healthcare provider. You must use proper settings and follow the instructions as directed, or you could experience high or low glucose levels. For more safety information, visit InPenToday.com.
Okay, so I mean, other complications along the way.
Yeah.
I've had probably almost all my fingers operated for trigger finger. I had frozen shoulders in both shoulders over time.
Mm-hmm.
But see, again, once I got pregnant, once I was past that, I would stay up on technology. I got the insulin pump as soon as I could. I got the CGM as soon as I could. Switched to Omnipod. I think I got the CGM in 2011.
Yeah.
Got the Omnipod in 2013.
So you stemmed the tide.
I tried to stay on top.
Yeah. No, you did exactly what you hear me talking about, right? Like I'm always saying, pay attention to new technology. You don't want to be using the last generation of stuff. Keep up with what people are doing. Don't switch just to switch, but when it makes sense, you got to keep up because, as we move forward, better technology is going to equal better results, and better results are going to equal better health. And
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you saw that and you got to it. Your brother either didn't see it or didn't care to see it, one or the other.
And he was 8 years earlier. So,
Yeah.
a lot of damage had been done by the time the technology came around.
Oh, okay. So you still felt hopeful, you think, when this stuff was available to you? Like, I can still do something about this for myself.
I never thought I had a shortened life or anything like that. I really just thought, okay, it's just another piece of me and something I have to deal with as I move forward.
Yeah.
So the eyes shocked me, and then over time, it's been a slow progression with the kidneys. So you get a test at the endocrinologist. Oh, your creatinine levels are higher than they should be, and that went on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, I finally said to my doctor, I'm like, should I be seeing a kidney specialist? And he's like, yeah, you could do that if you want. As the numbers were creeping higher and higher on the creatinine levels.
Michele, test me.
So,
nephrologist,
yes.
Thank you, Grey's Anatomy. Go ahead, keep going.
So I saw him, and I'm not quite sure how many years I saw him, but I'm still feeling good through all this time. And I didn't really, I really never felt bad.
Okay.
I still exercise. I still do all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I eat right. So then in January of this year, the GFR, which is what they look at to determine if you need to go on dialysis or have a transplant, it went to 20 or 18 beneath 20. So once it's 20, then you're eligible to get a transplant. So I'm still feeling pretty good. But I knew dialysis can really be damaging to people.
Yeah.
So I went to 4 different hospitals and started just applying for transplants. So I contacted you when I was still in stage 4 kidney disease.
Right.
And everything went pretty quickly. So I had to have a majority of tests. You had to make sure your teeth are good. You have to make sure your heart is good. You have to make sure you get a stress test, a colonoscopy, like every test in the world, MRIs, CAT scans. They've done every test on me in between January and May. The end of May, I was finally listed at a hospital for a kidney pancreas transplant. Actually, 2 of the hospitals would list me. One didn't want to because they thought I was too old. But the one I finally went with was really happy with the condition that I was in. They said they see a lot of people younger than me that are in a lot worse condition than I was.
Oh, no kidding.
So I was listed, and 3 days later, I got a call to get a pancreas kidney transplant. So
Wow.
it was so quick.
Michele, let me tell you something. So have you heard me talk about my friend Mike who's passed?
Yes.
Okay. So when he realized he needed kidneys, when he started doing dialysis, I would say to him, like, are you on the list? Get on the list. And he would always say, I can't, it's hard, there's money, it's insurance, it's this. And it always felt like too big for him to conquer the process. And then you just described how important it was. Like you went after this.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't wait.
Like you just were like, I am going to go find out how to make this happen for myself.
Exactly.
Oh, good for you. Wow. Okay. So.
Right. Because the first couple hospitals I called, they said, no, we don't do any kidney pancreas over 50. Mm-hmm. If you're over 50, we don't do it. So then I started doing more research, calling around, asking. And one of the hospitals I actually went with told me that they do pancreases over the age of 50, but they wouldn't list me for that. They would only list me for kidney.
So, oh, wow. So this is exactly what he used to talk about. And it always sounded like some people say they'll do both. Some people say they won't, blah, blah, blah. And so you just had to keep looking to find somebody to do both.
Exactly.
Michele, do you not have diabetes anymore?
I asked that question yesterday. I'm like, am I type 1 diabetic still? So the answer is yes, I am still diabetic, controlled with a pancreas transplant. Okay. But I have not taken insulin since the transplant.
Yeah, that almost made me cry, Michele. Actually, hold on. It might still. Give it a second. Hold on. I got to do that wavy thing that you see ladies do in 50s movies. Why does that work, by the way, when you tear up? If you just put some cool air on your face, it slows it down.
I don't know.
I don't either. But trust me, I do it a lot while I'm making this podcast. Wow, that's incredible. Good for you. The downside of all this is anything?
All right. So there's lots of pills. Yeah. So over time, I'll reduce the number of pills because I'm only 5 months out at this point. Mm-hmm. So I have to take pills for digestion. I'm told those will go away eventually. I take anti-rejection pills. So I have 3 different anti-rejection pills I need to take twice a day. Mm-hmm. I was recently told I have a low white blood count, which could be related to some of the medicines I'm on. So you have to be very careful. I'm constantly washing my hands. I'm constantly using hand sanitizer, wearing a mask in crowds, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's not just a breeze. There's still other things you need to do. But I'm feeling better every day. I've got a scar from my chest bones down all the way down. That's healed well. And I think because I was in good health beforehand, at least I'm considering myself in good health. Right. I think everything's healing well and doing well.
Wow. Congratulations. All right. So I want to walk through it. You get it all set up and you find a place that's going to do both. Is it fair to say that without the kidney transplant, what would your life have been like?
I had already been tested for doing peritoneal dialysis. So they were already talking about putting the tubes in, which would have been doing dialysis at home every night for 8 to 10 hours every night, and then another session during the day. So that's taking fluid into your belly, letting it sit there and draining it out every night and every day.
And that's not necessary. Even if you did that every night and every day for your whole life, it doesn't mean that things wouldn't continue to go backwards, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's not like You're not stopping it in that, even though that sounds like an unpleasant way to have to live. It's not like it would never get worse than there. You would continue on.
Exactly. Which is why I wanted the pancreas, because I'm hoping to slow down some of the damage caused by the diabetes.
Right. And surgeons must have felt comfortable about it because they gave you the organ, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, let's start with the day you find out you're going to get the surgery. What happens? You know what I mean? Like if somebody says, all right, you win, Michele, we've got you're on the list, right? So
Right.
once you're on the list, it's a matter of matching from donors, I guess?
Yes. It's a matter of matching the blood type as well as any antibodies that you currently have in your system.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't quite understand all of that. There's a lot of, and I've asked people, and they said it's very, very complicated how they match people with a donor. And you want to be as close as possible to the match so that you're not rejected. I was lucky to have AB blood type, which means I'm a universal receiver.
Uh-huh.
I can't give to any other blood type than my own, but I can receive from all blood types. So that helped.
Okay. And then what was the amount of time between, yes, you can be on the list, and hey, we have your stuff?
So that was a Wednesday. Yes, you're formally listed. On Friday morning, I got a phone call at 8 a.m. and I didn't answer it because I didn't know the phone number. But then my husband's phone rang and he answered it. And they're like, okay, we have a possible donor. You need to hold on and look for this phone number and answer the phone. And if it is going to be your donor, you'll have to come to the hospital tomorrow morning. So Saturday morning. So you have one day to get your things in order.
Right. Wow.
And in February, I had a new puppy born. So most of that day, so the puppy was born in February. I brought it home in April, thinking I'd have all this time to train her. And so most of the day on Friday, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with her because my husband works. He can't take care of her. I was working from home, which was helpful because I could do training in between the times and take her for walks at lunch. So my kids ended up like taking her the day I went into the hospital and drove her up to my sister's house 4 hours away so that she could hold on to her while I was recovering.
Let's be honest.
So,
did your sister do a good job training the dog?
She did a great job.
Are you worried
if she ever listens?
Yeah.
No, she did great.
Okay.
she's an animal lover. She's had animals all her life, and I knew she would do a great job with her.
It must have made your boys feel good to do something like kind of like wholesome for you as you were heading into surgery too, I would imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah. How about them? Do they have any autoimmune stuff, the kids?
They do not. I had them in testing. I don't think it was called TrialNet then, but because I was in that program, I followed up at the Children's Hospital with testing for them early on. They hadn't had any antibodies or whatever the things are called for
back then.
The markers.
Michele, do you think it would be absolutely ghoulish of me if I said trialnet.org/juicebox right here?
Go right ahead.
I
keep telling my son to have his son tested.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm all for TrialNet.
Yeah.
But that was probably the beginnings. TrialNet wasn't really in existence, I think, when they started because it was 91, 93.
Okay. Oh, yeah, probably not. You were just getting that testing through you probably knew a lot of things because of the stuff you did earlier in your life, right? With research.
Right, right. I kind of stayed on top of that. So, yeah, they did that. I took them to Children's Hospital for years after that, having them get different kinds of blood tests along the way. And then my younger son recently went back and had more testing done. And he still did not have the markers.
That's excellent. Well, good for him. Yeah. I'd be nervous too if you were my mom. I'd be like,
I understand.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's look one more time. Okay, I'm sorry. So now we've got the dog squared away and we're sitting around. Are you sitting in your house thinking this isn't going to happen, or and is it hard to feel hopeful?
No. I thought, no way is this going to happen because I've read, I'm on kidney groups on Facebook. I'm on kidney pancreas groups on Facebook. And, the time it takes to get tested and the number of times people have to go and wait at the hospital and then it doesn't match for some reason. So I went on Saturday. Got there at 7 a.m., sat and waited and waited and waited. They had to go get the organs. They had to, once they brought the organs back, they had to. So as I understand it, when they acquire the organs, they have to wait for the heart to be taken out first, and then the liver, and then so the other organs get taken first, and then the pancreas and kidney come out. So each doctor team
no kidding,
does their own organs. So they flew it back, and then another doctor had to take a final look at the organs to make sure that they were still viable when they were back in our location. And I don't know who my donor was. I don't know where it came from. I don't have any of that information unless the donor family wants to tell me.
Can we ask you about guilt? Like, two things. So did you feel like you were jumping the line because it was happening so quickly? And is it a weird thing to be happy about somebody passing away?
It is. It's odd, but the way I kind of look at it is they were probably already on life support when I got the call. So if it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be somebody else. Mm-hmm. So that kind of helps me with the guilt of taking it from someone.
Hey, Michele,
I'm happy it's me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think you should feel guilty. I'm just imagining that it has to be a natural reaction.
Right. Yeah. I think if I knew more about my donor, I'd probably have even more feelings about it. But at this point, I'm just happy. I'm blessed to be able to have been on that list at the time I was and been available. I asked them when I was called, is there a backup? And they said a backup person, like if I don't get it, they will get it. And I was the only person, I guess, in the country that was a match for this organ.
Good for you. I mean, yay. That's amazing. I would have been like, this is nuts. I mean, it just, because you were probably just resolved, right? Like, this may happen, it may not happen. It's going to take years.
Right. I thought 6 months. I really thought, okay, it'll be a while. Because if it's kidney only, the wait for a kidney only is like 5 years plus, or you can do a live kidney donor, which you can get quicker. And I did have people that said that they would get tested. No one actually had gotten through the testing yet because they don't test them until you're formally listed.
I want to ask you so badly if you believe the people who offered or not, or do you think they were?
I do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, okay.
I do.
You know what I mean, right? Like, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just like, I wonder how many people just out of like, you know, like are like, oh, Michele, I'll get
sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I was wondering. Oh, this is all kind of.
I had friends contact me because I put something on Facebook. Just, I wasn't asking. I just kind of did my situation update. And two of my friends from grade school that I haven't really stayed in too much contact with over the years, both offered to get tested.
How did that make you feel? Like, I imagine it's a wonderful feeling, but do you question it? Like, have you ever considered, like, I don't know if I'd give my kidney to somebody. You know what I mean?
I was so grateful. Yeah. So grateful. It just amazed me how generous people can be.
No, it's really fascinating to me. That's those people. I'd like to talk to one of those people. Somebody that just said, yeah, you can have one of my kidneys. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's a special statement to make.
Right.
Yeah, no
exactly.
Kidding. Okay. So it's 5 years, up to 5 years for just a kidney. What was the expected length for both again?
They didn't really tell me, but they told me probably within a year I would find a match.
Wow.
Because it's two kidneys or two organs versus one, and pancreases aren't in as high demand as kidneys are.
Oh, I see. By asking for the pancreas as well, it moves you. So most people are just looking for kidneys.
Right.
Oh, so by matching to you, we don't waste the pancreas.
Exactly.
I'm getting it now, Michele. I'm really coming online here with this. Okay. So you're in the hospital. They're like, wow, this is going to happen. Do you freak out? Are you nervous? Do you have any second thoughts?
We waited all day long, and I didn't think it was. I tend to think of the worst outcome so that I'm not disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more happy. So we didn't really know, we're waiting. There's really no word. We're probably there. Gosh, got there at 7 a.m. It was probably 12 to 14 hours before they finally came in and said, hey, listen, we need to do an enema because you're about to go into surgery. I'm like, okay. So all day long, they did not have me eating, but they just wanted to make sure your system's totally clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happened so quick. Like they put me on a stretcher, wheeled me back. My husband saying goodbye to me as we're wheeling back, and I was knocked out.
Is there any concern about just not making it through the surgery beyond the general concern about being put under?
I think my husband was worried about that. I really didn't think that was a chance.
So did you have that
naively, but I just thought, hey, I'm getting this done and I'll be fine.
Did you have that moment on the gurney when you looked at him and you thought, he thinks I'm going to die?
Afterwards.
After?
Not at the time, but after. He had made a couple stray comments and I'm like, he didn't think I was going to make it.
I got to be honest with you. I had my appendix out in an emergency situation and I was like on the phone to people. It's like in case I got to say goodbye. I don't know. It doesn't seem crazy to me. They're going to put you to sleep and cut your body open. I mean, I know people do it all the time, but some people don't react well to anesthesia. So, I was doing my diligence, calling my peeps, letting everybody know. But this sounds like it happened super fast for you. How long was the surgery?
The original surgery was 7 or 8 hours. And then the doctor came back and something was too tight. So then I was in surgery for another 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. So, and he had to bring the whole team back in because I had gone home, went to bed. So he had to bring the whole team back in and had more surgery. Meanwhile, my husband is there in the waiting room, wondering what in the world is going on and only getting, bits of information back. Oh, we have to take her back in. Didn't really explain why they had to take me back in.
Let me understand the process. 7 or 8 hours for the surgery. You come out, you're in recovery, and pretty quickly they realize you have to go back?
Yeah, and I was not awake. I don't remember being awake during that time, so I didn't know anything about it.
Okay. Something was too tight, and then it's funny as you're talking about this, I'm like, how do they do that? How do they perform surgery for 7 hours?
I know they had 2 different surgeons, one for the kidney, one for the pancreas.
Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you, I can't stand that long.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like,
You've got some special people because they can be called at any time, day or night, and they have to come in and do the surgery. Mm-hmm. So they're very special people, or go collect the organs from wherever they need to be collected.
My mom has to have surgery next week. And my brother had already made plans to come in to be here a number of days prior to the surgery and after the surgery. And then they up and called us yesterday and said, we need to move the surgery to the following week. And I said, please don't do that. My brother's not a wealthy person. I don't imagine he bought refundable airline tickets and, right. Stuff like that. And so she calls me back like an hour later and she goes, we're just going to do it the next day. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. The doctor's just going to tack it on to the end of his schedule. And I was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
What an amazing thing. I'll just do one more surgery on Thursday so Bev's son can fly in and see her before her surgery. And I was like, wow.
Exactly.
Some doctors are amazing and some you don't get anything out of.
And I think, they have a whole team of people. So I think, you've got the people coming in that are prepping you and the anesthesiologist and you've got a whole team of people that do the closing up afterwards. So I think everyone has their specialty that they stay in for.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have breaks during that 10, 11 hours.
Still amazing. So you come out, how long does it take you to come to? And then what do they expect from you? They want you, like nowadays they get you moving pretty quickly after surgery, but what was your process like?
I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
I bet your ass hurt.
I had some problems. So I think most people are 6 to 8 days is what they tell them.
Mm-hmm.
But I had some problems. Like at one point, I couldn't keep any food down. I got Botox in my stomach, which was, I joke that I got Botox, but it didn't make me look any better.
Oh, I see.
I imagine what that was supposed to do is make your stomach more active to move the food through, because I was having trouble keeping anything down.
Mm-hmm.
Then electrolytes were kind of out of balance. So I had to have fluid and magnesium and potassium and phosphorus and all those kind of things added.
Were you in danger, or is this just things they had to do?
This was, ask your question again.
Were you in danger, or were these just steps that needed to be taken because?
No, I think it was pretty common.
Okay.
For the surgeries. Just people have different kind of imbalances after that type of surgery.
Okay. 2 weeks. And when did the medications begin? Right away? Anti-rejection, all that stuff?
Right away.
Right away.
And then for the first 3 months, they're really, really careful with you because you have so many anti-rejection pills at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And they say really within the first year, it's really important to stay healthy through that first year.
Yeah. Did you ever hear Nicole's episodes about her surgery?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I've listened to you quite a bit. And I'm actually still listening, and I don't know why. It's kind of crazy. But I contacted you back in 2016 when I had my A1C had gotten to 6.3. Mm-hmm. So I messaged you on Facebook. And you said, congratulations. Then after that, I was volunteering with JDRF and trying to get people set up for booths at our JDRF Tons event. Mm-hmm. And I contacted you, and you said you couldn't come out to get a booth, but you could maybe do flyers or something, and you never sent them.
I did.
And
Michele, I'm very busy. I'm a one-man show here. I'm so sorry.
I know. Well, then you came, I think the next year or the following year, and spoke.
And I was amazing.
The Cincinnati JDRF.
Tell people how good I was.
You were excellent. You talked during the luncheon.
I did. I asked for that, actually, because while everybody's busy wanting their own little space, I'm like, I always think everyone there has to eat, and they eat at the same time. So I get to talk to everybody if I speak during lunch.
There you go.
Yeah. It's I remember that. That was a big room.
It was.
And a really well-run event as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it was.
No, as far as those things go, I think of that one as almost a gold standard. The person who runs that chapter is type A in the best way. And that event goes off very, very well. I met Chris Rudin there for the first time.
Huh.
Met him in person.
Yeah, I saw him speak when he was there.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then,
go ahead.
So yeah, I was actually on a panel that day of adults with type 1. Mm-hmm. So the night before they had that reception, and I met you briefly while you were there as well.
Oh, at the home. Was that someone's home? Yeah. What is Arden asking me? Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
She's like, can I call who? Me? I'm sorry. This is out of nowhere. I'm trying to figure out what this is. She's had trouble with her Loop app earlier, and I helped her through it. Okay, she's going to call me. Let's find out. Let's find out why I'm together, Michele. I'm just going to keep recording. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm going to take off one of my earphones. Hey, Ards, what's up? Oh, are you home still? So, honey, the problem is there's a little bit of there's a glitch in the Loop app, and I need to reset it. So we have to have the Bluetooth has to be off for like 20 minutes before we do it. That's why I had you do it when you came home. Well, you told me it was working. Okay, so it's not going to work till we make this little adjustment in the time zone. It's a glitch in the app. So when are you coming home again? Where you headed to a restaurant? Oh, okay. Well, shut your Bluetooth off. Bring the food home. When you get here, come right to me and we'll do the fix. Okay? And watch your blood sugar on your Dex app yourself. All right. Bye. Sorry, Michelle. Technology let us down there. There's a small glitch apparently in the version of the Loop app that Arden is using. And if you try to change the insulin sensitivity and the time zone in the app is wrong, it crashes the app. So anyway, I don't know if that sounds like gobbledygook to you or not. Michelle, did I lose you? Michelle? 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 Hello, Michelle? Hello, hello, hello. Michelle? What the heck? All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Michelle? Michelle? Michelle, Michelle? Michelle? Hello? Hello, Michelle? Michelle? All right, I'm going to send her a chat. Can you hear me? Hello? This is the end of Aquarius. Why would that song pop into my head? Aquarius. Michelle? Damn it. I can hear her typing. And she's not answering me. Let me see if I have a phone number for her. I do. This is boring. There's no way I'm leaving this in. And yet every time I say I'm not going to leave something in, I totally leave it in. All right, I've texted her. I said, hey, it's Scott. I can hear you typing, but you can't hear me. And then I said it out loud in case she maybe would hear it. People do not want to make a podcast. It's a lot of work. And sometimes it's irritating and annoying and weird. Why is she unable to hear me? Michelle, 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 Michelle. Michelle. Hello, Michelle. She is not hearing me. All right, now I'm going to call her. Will she answer this while she thinks she's making a podcast? No, right?
I can't hear you at all.
Oh, okay. Michelle? She can't hear me at all. Why would she not be able to hear me?
I don't hear you.
Hey, Michelle, I know we're on the phone now, but I hear you fine and you're not hearing me. So let me...
I hear you through the phone.
Yeah. Let me figure out why that is. I don't know why that would be.
Are you on mute somewhere?
I'm looking. That looks right. Nothing here changed.
The lower left hand, mute my audio. Is that...
No, I didn't mute anything. I actually was like keeping you on. I was recording with you. I wanted you to hear the phone call, like just because I didn't know if it would be interesting for the podcast or not. Like I am not muted. I'm going to mute myself now and then unmute myself again.
I heard the first part of the phone call, but then it went away.
Wait, can you hear me now? Through your computer?
No.
That's insane. There's nothing different here. All right, well, let's...
Oh, I hear you now.
Oh, okay. I'm hanging up the phone. Now you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense, but who cares? I'm sorry. So you didn't hear all that. Arden's having problems. Her Loop app has a glitch in it, and it crashed the app. So she's going to have to come back here in a couple of minutes, and you're going to hear me fix the app again. But she'll be in person when that happens. So I don't think anything should change on the audio.
Okay.
Okay. I am sorry. That was so long. I forget where we were, but I hope you remember.
I don't remember either. We talked about post-surgery.
You were going through your medications and everything you were taking after post-surgery. You told me that you had some trouble digesting, and then...
Yeah, that was in the hospital.
Oh, wait. Sorry, we were in Ohio. You were telling me about being there, and I was getting ready to ask you, because you were talking about having been listening to the podcast for such a long time. So
right.
Why are you still listening to the show?
I don't know. The stories are interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Do you feel bad for not having diabetes anymore?
No, I don't feel bad.
Okay, good.
I do know that my body can attack my pancreas again because I'm still have those markers that I had before. Those don't go away.
Yeah, right. And so it is possible that you could just get type 1 again with your new pancreas.
Right, exactly.
Is there odds on that based on other transplants?
I haven't found them. People, like the hospitals will track transplants like after 1 year, after 5 years, and they don't do a great job of tracking things after that.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting.
Gotcha. Well, let's just say that would suck, and I hope that doesn't happen. Seriously.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But I think the technology will be so much further by then that it won't be such a pain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you really are pretty caught up. Well, you were until all of this, until you put your pump in a drawer, I guess, right? Is it like retiring? Did you like fold it up and put it under your underwear or something like that? Or
I wore the Dexcom for about 2 months afterwards because I was afraid it was going to those sugars were going to go high.
Yeah.
And then it ran out one time and I'm like, I'm not putting that back on. Why should I wear it?
No kidding.
So I quit wearing it.
It's pretty cool. It really is. How scary is it to have all this going on during COVID?
It's worse during COVID. Just, I feel more isolated. I can't really, my problems are kind of like COVID where you can't see COVID. And you can't see all the germs in the system, so you don't really know where is safe to go and what's not safe to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm in public, if I'm in a group of people, I'll wear the mask. If I'm just around a few people, I won't. Mm-hmm. It's much more easy to find a mask than it was probably prior to COVID.
Yeah. You go all the way using an N95 mask?
I do.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I put one over my eyes if I was you, just in case.
I know. I wear glasses most of the time, so I'm a little protected.
Yeah, I would wrap my whole head in one. Just you'd see.
Bubble wrap.
And people would be like, "What's wrong with her?" And I'd be like, "I just had a transplant. Get away from me." Everyone, get away from me. But the feeling of isolation is real. It's terrible, So. Right. I feel for you there. And you said the first year.
But I just had a baby granddaughter. I have a 3-year-old grandson and a newly born baby granddaughter. And I've gone over there and saw them. I wore my mask the whole time because I'm worried for her too.
Yeah. But congratulations. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good for you. How's your husband handle all this? Has he been helpful? Did he do is he like standard guy thing? Does he stand in the corner and wait for you to need something, or has he kind of jumped into action?
He tries to be helpful. I mean, when I was in the hospital, so the hospital was 2 hours away from Cincinnati, and I had to go 2 times a week after I was released from the hospital. So I actually had my top 4 brothers and sisters are all retired, and they spent a week to 10 days with me and driving me back and forth because I couldn't drive for a while. But he would, when I was in the hospital, he would come home from work, drive the 2 hours, sit with me for 2 to 3 hours, drive home, and then, wake up the next day, do the whole thing again. So he runs his own business. So he doesn't have the luxury of just calling in sick. He still has to do the work.
Yeah, somebody got to pay for those pills.
Exactly.
Do you work?
And I'm still working. So I carry the family insurance, which is good at this point.
Yeah, good for you. That you're able to work through they gave you, would you take like FMLA, little medical leave, and then come back? Short-term
disability for the first 3 months. And then I came back and they're allowing me to work from home for 6 months because the hospital requested that I do that.
Excellent. How do you like working from home?
I love working from home. So I've been working from home for 1.5 years now, and it's awesome.
I have to admit, I enjoy it myself. You know what I like the best is probably is just very, I don't know how interesting this is to people, but I love that I can get up in the morning, do a bunch of my work, record an episode, go, grocery shopping if I have to, then come back and start working again. Like it's so nice not to have to do stuff like that at the end of the day when you're exhausted. It's so much easier to work until you're tired and then stop at the end. I do find that I work too long because my job's at home.
Yes.
But I do like I do like that part of it, like getting to break up the day. I do wish I had to move around more though. And that I don't think is right.
I did get my puppy back, and she has way more energy than I ever expected. So I get out at lunchtime and take her for walks. Nice. So I'm up to 1.5 miles a day taking her for walks. So that's good.
How long did your sister have the puppy?
About 3 months.
Oh, wow. Did she have trouble giving it back to you?
I think she was ready for me to get her back.
So not attached. She's like, please, somebody come get this dog from me.
She was shocked that the puppy still remembered me, but she did. We met about halfway and picked her up, and she still remembered me and came home and is very attached.
That's excellent. Good for you. Is there anything we haven't gone over that I've missed? Because I don't understand the whole process.
I think we hit a lot of things. I don't have anything that I can think of off the bat.
Yeah. What is your moving forward look like? Oh, you thought of something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the reason I wanted to, I didn't really want to be on the podcast, but the reason I contacted you was because you can't find anybody going through the kidney issues. Mm-hmm. Like there are a lot of people online, but no podcasts, no type 1 diabetes talking about complications and things like that. And I wish I listened to Nikki, listened to her calls, but having people with real life experience is so difficult to find. So I broke down and said, okay, I'll be on the podcast and contacted you. And you're like, okay, set it up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for this. And I agree with you. Listen, if you have a 4-year-old that just got diabetes, I don't know how fun this is to listen to, but I think there's some solace that comes from the fact that you were diagnosed, in the 70s. Your care is nothing like care is now. But
exactly.
There are still people who don't pay attention or don't have the tools or don't have the knowledge or whatever you want to say to create that. You still can create this problem for yourself in modern times. And so it's good for people to know what could happen. People who are like, oh, my blood sugar is just 200 all the time. Well, that's what yours was.
Right.
And
I was just naive. I'm sure there was more things I could be doing. The more I talk to people or volunteer with JDRF, there are people that have been diagnosed as long and knew more than I did at that time.
Right. Yeah.
But I just didn't have the contacts
access
to know
the information. Just did not have access to the information. That's why I like to have people on to talk about all kinds of different things, because I know there are some people who are going to be like, why are you telling me about complications? But it's so that you understand the big picture. And so that you can then apply it back to your life and think, maybe I am missing out on something the way Michele was missing out on something.
Right.
Did you enjoy Mike's episode about complications?
Which one was that?
Very recently. It was an After Dark about complications.
Oh, yeah. I listened to that one.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that has to be said once in a while. Like you said, because nobody talks about it. Like, I mean, I'm nearly 600 episodes into this as I'm recording this right now. No one has ever once contacted me and said, I want to tell you what it's like to be on dialysis. You don't think there are people listening to this show who have been on dialysis or who are on it now, and no one's ever reached out and said they want to talk about it? And I understand that, but I'm saying there are plenty of people out there that might benefit from hearing from those people as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you did this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me just ask you a couple more questions and I'll let you get back to your life. So moving your new lease on life, moving forward, it's about staying healthy, staying away from being ill, taking your pills, but what other milestones are you looking forward to or having to reach?
I want to start traveling again. So we're possibly doing something in February. We'll see. Mm-hmm. I still have to make reservations, so we'll do that. Spending more time with my grandkids. That's on the top of my list.
Yeah. You want to travel somewhere warm? I
want to retire soon, but it's kind of out of the picture right now as I carry the insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm too young for Medicare. So, well, I actually am on Medicare for 3 years, but my insurance is primary and Medicare is secondary for 30 months. Mm-hmm. So
how did you get on Medicare this early?
Because of the end stage renal disease. So as soon as the transplant hit, I'm eligible for Medicare for 3 years.
Gotcha. Okay. So
that only takes me to age 62. So it's still another 3 years in between.
Till you can go on it
or
officially.
I can get insurance.
Right. I understand. Oh, wow. That's a little scary too. Man, but it sounds like listen, I got to be honest with you, Michele, you're kicking ass. So I don't imagine you can't get any of this done. You took the bull by the horns about 16 times in this story, and ended up getting, everything you needed. So I'm really impressed with you. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good for you. All right. I'm going to say thank you and let you go. I really appreciate this.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate all that you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It really is. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to say goodbye to you, like, privately.
Okay.
A huge thanks to InPen from Medtronic Diabetes for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Head over to InPenToday.com to find out more. You can also find those links in the show notes of your podcast player, the one you're listening in right now probably, and at juiceboxpodcast.com. Don't forget, if you're a U.S. resident, please go take the T1D Exchange survey. Take it from me, t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Thank you very much for thinking about doing that. All right, so we thanked InPen. We thanked you. Oh, do I thank you? I will. I'll thank you in a second. We asked you about the T1D Exchange. What else should I say to you before I let you go? I don't have anything. Oh, my goodness. Where are my manners? I want to thank Michele for coming on the show and sharing her story. How crazy is that she got that transplant so quickly? Absolutely stunning story. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Michele sent me a note later. She said when we were talking about other autoimmune stuff in her family, she neglected to talk about her sister who had MS. She said it progressed very quickly and she passed from it at age 48. Her sister was 6 years older than Michele. She asked me to add that, and I wanted to do that for her. Okay, so again, thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe or follow in a podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen in an app. If you're enjoying the show, tell a friend about it, or an acquaintance, or anybody you think might enjoy it. Tell your doctor about it. Tell somebody. Thank you. The show grows when you share it with people, and that's why I ask for you to do that. All right, that really is it now. I'm going to go. I hope you have a good day.